All right. Online versus offline gaming. The last few years, I have had the privilege to play in some amazing online games and run some really cool offline games. Haven't had a lot of opportunities to play in any games offline, really. Um, did play a little bit of Savage Worlds at a guy's house a couple years back. Um, but that's for the most part it. I haven't had a steady game master in person for a while. So, anyways, online versus offline gaming. Both of them have their pros and cons. You know, the pros of online gaming are that you can game with anybody in the world whenever you want, and we have all the tools nowadays to make it very simple. And you need fairly little. A laptop or a desktop, a microphone, which you don't necessarily have to have. You can use chat rooms or forums for play by post or email, play by email. But with online, the only way I like to play online is in voice chat. Doesn't need to have a camera on, but I prefer if I'm going to play online with some kind of microphone. Shortly behind that, I don't mind chat room games. I haven't done it in a few years, but as long as it's continual chat as opposed to play by post, I'm cool with that as well. In fact, that makes it really easy for me to remember things sometimes, and it makes it or easier to get into character for some people. The negatives, it's you can feel disconnected. With On top of that, if you're playing with new players, I think sometimes it can be harder. The things like the camera can distract people. It can lead to nervousness that for some people wouldn't be there in person, and some other things, and the fact that not everyone has microphones and stuff. Most people do, but some don't. Um, Now, the pros and cons of offline gaming. So in person. In person gaming for me is way better than online gaming. But that's for many reasons. I feel like in an online game, there are times where people don't pick up on cues. You can, there's more distractions sometimes, whether it's, this could be partly because of myself, but if I have Facebook open, sometimes people will send you a message, or you play with the chat for the game, or like with the provokers. There were times where I was playing with the chat and talking to people while playing the game, and that I probably shouldn't have in hindsight in some of those, but yeah. There's offline though, you can pick up on people's cues better, body language. Um, you can tell if they're distracted better. In an online game, you can mute yourself. Well, nobody's going to know what you have going on in the background if someone's talking or whatever. But in an in-person game, if someone's screwing around on their phone or whatever, they're right there at the table. You can see it and do something about it. So it's just, there's a lot of things you can pick up. Like I said, body cues, like you can tell if someone's bored, if they're screwing around with their dice, like you can just tell certain things. In person, you also can use miniatures. Online, they have things like through, oh gosh, I can't even think. There's various tabletop programs for online play, like Roll20. There we go. That was the one I was trying to think of. Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, things like that. There's things you can use online that, while they give you the options for those, I've never tried them. Maybe I'd love online gaming with trying them, but I've never tried using something like that. But what I can say is, in person, I love miniatures because it doesn't make it hard to understand where things are. They give you a visual of what something looks like. No, maybe it's not accurate, But I actually prefer miniatures for that reason. You can tell what something kind of looks like. It makes it easier to visualize it. You're not relying on someone's description and then remembering the description. I think it's just better. I liked using terrain. I like all of that stuff. And if a DM or GM can, get it out there quickly, and then it works. It's awesome. Also, with offline gaming, when you take a break and you can go eat and still hang out with your friends, you don't have to sit in front of the computer to be talking to your friend the whole time. You can get up and go and socialize and stretch your legs and still be engaged with whoever you're playing with, talking to them. So that's always kind of nice. It's just a lot of good things, I think, that come out of gaming in person. That one of the perks of online gaming is you can find the best players to play with or the best game masters. In person, you can sometimes feel limited by, like, early on when I started getting into the actually playing again, I felt like it was hard to find players. I struggled for years the first time I was on this side of the state before I moved to Grand Rapids. About 2 years. I just was like, oh, I can't find anyone to play. I tried like Meetup. I tried other what was it? Different game, like RPG gaming group finder things. And part of it is I restricted myself. I was only looking for Palladium Books fans, which is hard enough as it is. I found a group. It was 45 minutes away, but I did find a group when I was here before and played with them a few times. It was a lot of fun. They were actually a really cool group. I enjoyed them. But they had a lot of rotating players in and out. A lot of people I didn't know. I didn't know any of them personally. So that made it a little difficult, but ultimately they were a cool group. I liked them a lot. I didn't stay in touch with them. It's been 3.5 years, I think. No, maybe 2.5 years since I've talked to them. Don't know if they're still running their games or not, but cool group. But beyond that, I had a hard time. When I moved to Grand Rapids, I don't know what it was. I think I saw Nate post online from WASD20, and I said, oh, this guy's interested in starting in the hobby. I need to reach out to him. Reached out to him. Somehow we found a couple other people. Then we found another person. And it seemed like after that, and then going to Grand LAN and running encounters, I just found players left and right to play. And then the family out there was interested in playing. I moved back. I figured it was going to be a long time over here in Ann Arbor again, or Saline. I live in Saline. I felt like it was going to be really hard to find a group again. And I found within my first 3 days back at work, I found 4 people that were interested in playing. That led to my couples game and my friend game that I play now. I call them friend and couples just because it's the easier way to distinguish it, but they're all friends. And, I've got multiple more people. If I really wanted to, I could add probably another 4 people that would be interested. I don't have the room, but I have the people, so I could add. But it's just amazing to me how simple it was this time. And I don't know if it's because I'm more open about everything than I used to be. I didn't used to talk openly about all my hobbies. I didn't just blurt it out. Now I do. And since then, I've actually found that in person, I can find some really good caliber players. So don't be shy. That's the moral of that little story. So anyways, I prefer offline gaming to online gaming, hands down. I'd be open to trying like one of the things like Roll20 and see if that adds to the experience for me or not, or if it makes it more difficult. I've used tools like Obsidian Portal. They're cool. They're just time consuming, and I don't really have that time. And the other thing about in person, you don't have the technical difficulties that you do with online gaming. Whether it's people's internet going out or a bad connection or whatever, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with an online game. Computer malfunctions, accessory malfunctions, all sorts of things. Whereas in person, you might have a car problem. Someone can swing by and pick them up. You might have something else going on, but ultimately I haven't had any problems with attendance with in-person games. Online games, I've had a lot of problems with attendance, people not showing up after they said they wanted to play, things like that. So a lot of good things. But anyways, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below about online versus offline gaming. What you prefer, why, anything maybe I've touched on that you're interested in talking about. I'd love to hear it below. If you're interested in having me sometime play a game online, maybe through Roll20, I'm open on Fridays and Saturdays. I have to plan you around my 2 home groups that I play with, as well as family things. I'm a family man. I got 2 kids, wife, got to keep them happy. So would love to hear your guys' thoughts. If you want me to play in a game with you guys online sometime, feel free to talk about it below. Do a video response. I will take the video response and put it in an annotation at the end of this video. That's kind of my goal now to try and do with video responses. That way people can easily link after watching the video to the other people's responses. So don't know if it'll work. Don't know how well it'll work. Don't even know if I'll be able to update it frequently, but do that. Send me the message on my Facebook page, Tabletop Gaming with Juice, whether it's a comment under the video or a private message or both. I recommend doing both. That's the way to do it. Get my attention over there on Facebook. So thank you guys very much, and I'll see you guys next time.